Hey gang, happy Thursday, Leanne here. So this week we've been doing mini trainings on meal prep and everything involved in meal prep. So on Monday we went over quick and dirty meal prep ideas in terms of how to piece together your food, and that was just rule of thumb using your palm. A palm-sized portion of protein, a palm-sized portion of carbs, and multiple palm-sized portion of green veggies, and then one or two spoonfuls of fat. That was just a quick and dirty. Hello! Then on Tuesday we went over Meal Prep 101, and Meal Prep 101 was just giving you all the reasons for you to consider on why you would do meal prep in the first place, and the tools that you need to put into place before you even begin your meal prep journey. Things like are you going to weigh your food? Do you need a scale? Do you need supplements? Do you need meal prep containers? And then yesterday we went over the actual cheat sheet in terms of what is protein, carbs, and fat, and I gave you like a real laundry list of things in each of those categories. And basically, if you looked at your plate as a protein, carbs, and fat, how you would actually put stuff in there, and that came along with a cheat sheet, like a PDF that I have if you're interested in. So today we're going to actually talk about one of the macronutrients of meal prep, the most important macronutrient, which is protein. So protein has 4 calories per gram, okay? And the most common question I get as a wellness and fitness trainer is, how much protein do I need to eat? How much protein do I need to eat? Basically, a good rule of thumb is 0.8 gram per pound of body weight, okay? If you're not an elite athlete and you're just like looking to stay healthy and strong and you want to make sure your protein intake is on point, you would take 0.8 and you would times that by your pounds in body weight, and that would give you the actual grams that you would need to eat in protein. So you would get that number and then divide that number based upon how many meals that you're going to eat in a day, whether it's 2 meals, 3 meals, 5 meals, because rule of thumb is getting in a little bit of protein with every meal, and I'll get to that later. But so a couple of the benefits of protein. Why should you care? Why should you eat protein? Well, because protein, first of all, there's many science-backed reasons on why protein is important. So there's a bunch of studies upon studies on why we need to eat protein, whether you eat animal protein or non-animal protein. So whether you eat a regular diet or a vegetarian, vegan diet, okay? In any event, we're all getting in protein, and we all need to get an adequate amount of protein. But why? Because fat, carbs, and protein, it all affects our body in different ways. So the ways that protein benefits and helps the body are numerous, but here are the important reasons why you should really focus on getting protein into your diet for every meal. Number 1, it reduces appetite and hunger levels. So the quick and dirty is, we have hormones. Everybody has hormones, men and women. We have hunger hormones that make us more hungry, and we have appetite suppressant hormones that make us less hungry. So basically, studies have shown that protein intake, having an adequate protein intake, helps to regulate these weight regulating hormones by reducing the hunger hormone and increasing these appetite suppressant hormone, okay? So it's sort of like a natural appetite suppressant. Also, number 2, reason why you would like to eat protein, because it helps us build lean muscle. Now, if you were making a cake, the main ingredient in a cake would be flour. Like, it's very hard to make a cake without flour. Same thing with muscle. If your goal is to really build lean muscle and you want to see definition and you want to, get ripped and get cut, and that's your focus, and you're lifting heavy, you need to have the protein, the flour in the cake, the protein, in order to build that muscle, because protein is the main basis, the main ingredient in building lean muscle mass. So if you're physically active, lifting weights, trying to gain muscle, make sure you're getting in enough protein. And that goes back to how much protein? 0.8 gram per pound of body weight. Keeping protein intake adequate can also help prevent muscle loss when you're dieting. So a lot of my ladies who are looking to lose like even 10 to 30 pounds, you will lose a little bit of muscle through that process. So our goal of work together is to make sure that our protein intake is adequate enough so that we can prevent the least amount of muscle loss during their weight loss journey. And that's just going back to making sure they're getting enough protein in the first place, okay? Because muscle is primarily made up of protein. So adequate protein intake, again, helps you gain muscle mass, that helps increase your strength while reducing muscle loss during weight loss. So it's very important. The 4th benefit of protein and its adequate protein intake is Protein intake can keep your bones strong. How does that do that? That goes back to what I just said. Protein intake allows you to build lean muscle mass. Having muscle on your body keeps your bones strong. So people who eat adequate protein tend to maintain bone mass. So even as we age, especially as we get above 35 and you start to lose your bone mass as you age and get into things like osteopenia, osteoporosis, if we can keep our intake of our protein adequate, we have a much lower risk for these things of osteoporosis, of bone fractures, of falling and breaking a hip. This in turn goes into the next benefit of why you should eat protein, why you should care, why you should focus on protein intake, is that it helps your body repair itself after injury. So we're not getting bigger muscles when we're lifting weights. We're actually tearing the muscles down. The way you lift weights is these small microfiber tears in the muscle when you're lifting things, pushing things, getting running, all these things. So it's during recovery when the muscle fibers fuse back together, and they fuse back together stronger. So that's why adequate protein is crucial during that repair and recovery process, because it actually will help your body repair itself after these micro tears when you're actually doing the exercise. But even after injury, like if you were to fall, if you need to have a surgery, if you're dealing with an issue, adequate protein intake facilitates this kind of recovery process. Another tip of protein intake and why you should care is it reduces cravings and your desire for late night snacking. So a lot of my gals, their biggest thing is like late night snacking. They're really good all day, and then maybe when they get home, they sit down on the couch, they turn on the TV, they pour a glass of wine. That tends to lead into some late night snacking. So studies have shown and science has shown that protein keeps us full longer. So if you maintain an adequate protein schedule throughout the day, then your late night snacking and cravings toward the end of the day, that's reduced, because the protein at every meal, being conscious of having protein at every meal, that kind of keeps us, our hunger, our energy, and our cravings in check. And the final reason on why you should care and why you should focus on protein and adequate protein in your diet is because it boosts your metabolism and it increases our fat burning. So food has shown, studies have shown that when you eat, your metabolism actually speeds up. So the process of you eating actually speeds up your metabolism. Doesn't matter what you're eating. But the higher protein intake part of it has been shown to significantly boost metabolism and thus increasing that number of calories that you burn through that process. And the number, the studies have shown anywhere from 80 to 100 calories burned each day extra if you can keep your protein intake high. But that's still, different studies say different things, but in any event, the end all be all is that protein intake will help with the fat burning process. So if that is one of your main goals, that is one of the first things that we tackle is how much protein are you eating now, where do you need to be, and how do we get there? So I hope this was helpful. Today we focused on the macronutrient protein. Again, as a quick refresher, there are 3 macronutrients: protein, carbs, and fat. And different diets will villainize different macronutrients. Like I said, if you know keto, then keto's no carb, high fat, normal protein. If you know zone is sort of like ratio of equal protein, carb, and fat. Whole food is more like a balanced protein, carb, and fat diet, but based off of only eating whole foods, no processed foods. So a couple of questions I get about protein is, when should I eat my protein? Timing. Do I need to eat protein before I work out? Do I need to eat protein right after I lift? And timing is very individual, but the rule of thumb is a little protein with every meal. Forget about making it so complicated and thinking you need to down a protein shake before you lift, down a protein shake after you lift. No, it's not that serious. Just have a little bit of protein with every meal, with the main purpose of keeping your hunger, your energy, and your cravings in check. Okay, so next question I get a lot, how do I get all the protein? I don't know, I can't eat all this chicken breast, I can't eat all this stuff. The cheat sheet I gave yesterday, that was just a guideline, but there's many protein supplements. And although we don't want to rely heavily on supplements, because a protein powder is still a processed food because it comes in a package, there are supplements that can help you get an adequate protein. So for my clients that are having a hard time getting in their protein with eating regular whole food, I will have them supplement either with a protein powder or a protein bar. And again, this is minimal, no more than 1 serving per day, a few times during the week. Okay, just because, again, still these things are in a container, in a package, they're processed, and we kind of want to limit that stuff. Also too, sometimes protein powders affect different guts differently, like people's gut flora and their bacteria differently. So I work together with clients to kind of figure that out. Usually right away we can tell if a client is sensitive to whey, and then once we find that out, we pivot. We look for a different protein supplement. There's so much out there. Whey is the most common that you may hear of, but it's not the end all be all. So I think that's about it. I'm just looking at my notes here. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for listening to me on my soapbox about protein. Tomorrow we will talk about carbs and maybe some of the myths that people have regarding carbs, why you need to have some carbs, why carbs is different for every body, and ability. Like, what are you doing? So stay tuned for tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.